Hello, my name is Creostix, and welcome back to Elden Ring, where we entered the Forbidden Lands, like the champions we are. And I hope we manage to go forward without too much trouble. I think there's gonna be some, though. I think, at least in nighttime, there's a Knight's Cavalry somewhere around here. That's gonna be interesting. Nice and easy. There we are. Yeah, I don't remember, like, they were called, like, something like Savage Soldier, Rotten Soldier, something. Oh, there you are. Alright. I remember this being an interesting bit because, one, it's hard to see, which I'm not sure it's a good design bit, but it's interesting, and there's not good room to do any of this, so it's that way it's interesting. Also, I can't summon help. That's the thing. Good enough. Okay, nope, that's turned around. Nice and easy. There is one plus side, though. In my previous playthrough, I got glitched out with the fire giant titan thing, and I never got to see its second phase. It just, like, automatically died on me in, like, one frame. So I never saw the second frame, and I saw the cinematic into the second frame, but not the frame itself. Or the second phase, but not the phase itself. So this time I probably will. Because I hear the glitch is quite not easily reproduced, so it's unlikely that I would get so unlucky that it happened twice. I wonder if I could have just ran through this one. Nah, let's just do it. Nice and easy. Let it happen. Bye. I probably could have just ran through him, but oh well. Why not? I sometimes wonder why not just have, like, Lost Graces instead of the statues of Marika, but no. No biggie. Yeah, I think the snow area was a little bit tricksy, but it should be fine. Also, I think there's like a separate medallion that leads to the really good grind area, I think, so. Because I think it's a different medallion that does that. Because, like, that leads into, like, here. And I think from there you get to the, really good grind area. Because this just leads, like, here. And which goes here. Yeah, I think that's how it was. To infinity and beyond. And toward ethereal deer. Alright. Let's put our backs into it. I remember that these soldiers were bad news when I first got here. I didn't like them. Oh yeah, there was that really rickety, well, not rickety as such, but like an interesting, long, narrow bridge with a lot of ranged BS. That's what this place was. Now I remember. There we are. Okay, I think I can run past them and not let them be a problem. The problem happens when the giant at the other end wakes up, I think. That's way too soon every time. Yep, giant awake. Yay! Oh boy! Whew. Not even close. Barely a graze. Hi. Team player here. Ready, please? There you go. Nice and easy. See if I can manage to remember how all of this goes. Oh yeah, this place also had like one of those really dumb like invisible bridges as well. Now I remember that too. I think it was a secret, like an optional thing though, at least. Like it gave like a, you know, one of the towers or something is how that was. Yeah, no real need to kill the giants. I'm fine not doing that. There is... Oh, there was a dragon here, wasn't there? Was that something I had to kill? I don't remember. Like, I should go through there, yes, but I wonder if I needed to actually kill the dragon to go through. It was not a great fun time. It was actually a pretty difficult one. Oh, that's actually is one I died into once, I think. Yeah. Or at least I retreated from it. I have no memory if it's something I have to do, though. Like, it appears like at the middle of this frozen lake, but I'm not super into the idea if I don't have to. Yeah, Borealis the freezing fog. Hi. Don't want to. No idea if I have to. Well, I don't see an immediate, like, Yep, that's fine. Go as quickly as possible. I do not care. I'd love a grace by this point, though. Not many of those around here, apparently. There's an Ever Jail. Do not remember, like, at all where the graces are. Oh, here's one. Lovely. Alright, step one. Just nice and quick. Don't stop to wonder about the things. Here, like a champ. I'm sure it's fine. Believe. Here. All right, and then to the giant, of which I've done only the first phase ever, and now I get to do the second phase for the first time in New Game Plus more difficult mode. That's lovely. What could go wrong? So let's hope I actually reach the giant without too much trouble, because there's a bunch of mobs in here too. I think that's about the area I'm looking for. Just find a crossing. Here we are. Oh, I should probably catch that, huh? Nice and easy. Alright, happy thoughts. Remember me as I was, full of anger. Yep, that's my boy. That is my boy. I'm not sure that's healthy, my guy. Also, you have a nose in the middle of your... Yeah. I want to have that looked at. Right. So I have this idea where you wouldn't do random-ass AoE attacks and we would just, like, get on with it, you know? Also, I can't lock onto its other leg for some reason. That is madness. Also, that damage amount, crazy. Then comes the crazy mode, which I've never seen before. Like, I've seen the cinematic before, but it just died, like, on the first frame after this the last time. It has, like, a weird eye with multiple fiery irises and stuff. I mean, that is a way to fix a pained leg. You just take the pain away with your hand and you pull. Like that can absolutely work, apparently. There you are. See, it's like multiple irises. Well, one a slightly bigger one than the rest, but, you know, still, I feel it counts. Yeah, like, it still took a big chunk of damage, see, at the very changing bit. That's kind of what I mean. I think it just took all of that damage last time. Yeah, I don't even, like... Cool. You do you. Area? Well, we won. Cool. Also, I'm kind of curious. I was wondering for a minute, like... Am I... Because I was wondering for a moment if the game actually saved my, the ashes of whatever. Oh, it does. Okay, lost ashes of war. Okay, because I couldn't just duplicate my remembrances in one of the shrines, and I was like, why? Because I'd already gotten a new remembrance by then. I was like, why I can't do this? I don't know, huh? What's wrong? Oh. Anyway. Progress made. 20 minutes from start and then the giant is dead. Damn. That's actually... I'm almost proud of that one. My trusty steed, let's go. The balanced ride. Nice and easy. There you go. See, it's perfect. Hard left. Cool. Hopla. So yeah, the massive amounts of damage from the fire attacks was a little worrying, but in the end, just as I had enough life to manage through one hit of those, it still works. As long as you don't get hit by 2 in a row, you're fine. But if you do, you might be dead, so, you know. Melina! It's chilly, do some fire.
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair.
Don't say.
And death. Indiscriminate.
Do you want a spanner?
Are you prepared to commit a cardinal sin?
Listen, I was born with sin. That's actually true if you think about it. Let's go.
Very well. Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment.
Let's hand rest. Yes. See, that's how the world burns. You hold hands with a lady and just like that's how the you know that's how the cookies crumble. See, now it's gonna be a cozy fire, and it won't be so cold anymore, and it'll be all fine.
O Erd tree, you shall burn.
But it'll be cozy. A cozy burn.
Burn for the sake of the new Lord. Thank you for guiding me here.
Well, you're welcome. And who is your tattoo artist? I'd just like their information just in case.
The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death. Goodbye.
Right, so just about 3 hours, and I got this far. Because I did, like, in the first... under an hour, I think, for sure, is what I took to kill... Or just about an hour, maybe, to kill the Stormveil boss and the... and the other one, the, Archive of Dubelidoo. Now I'm wondering, did I have to kill the two-headed dragon? I don't remember. Yeah, I can't just at least go away. Well, let's go forward and see what happens. Because the two-headed dragon might be one that kills me if I have to kill it again, because that boss fight was bullshit. Really bad. Cool look, but the tactics were BS because it just like flew away and just swooped at me and you can't just hit it. So like, okay. Or, well, you can hit it eventually, but very rarely. And only if it feels like letting you do it. It's like, Crumbling Faru Mazula. But I mean, the visuals of this place, awesome. I know my girlfriend would love it. Those are all kinds of dragons or draconids flying in there. She'd have a field day right here. Bum ba bum ba bum. All right. Some big bad almost dog humans. Yes. I kind of need a lost grace to get my level up going again. I kind of got some runes again. I didn't stay here too long. I just went through this place and then moved on. I did scour, I think, every nook and cranny I could muster, but I didn't like stop and grind or anything here. My first time around. Ah. I don't remember how much of this I need to clear. Do I need to actually kill the... I think it was optional, but I'm not sure. I think the two-headed dragon was optional. I don't think it was something I had to do. I'll be honest, I thought Azula Farum looked cool, but I didn't really enjoy the area. Same kinda, yeah. I thought the, like, platforming was not greatly interesting. And... Again, I thought the two-headed dragon was an extremely cool visual as a boss fight. And as an actual mechanical boss fight, it was super cheap and lazy. Alright. Show me fight. Yes, it is an AoE lightning attack. Power original. Yes. Do your thing. No hurry. Right. Oh, and also, one more thing about the boss fights I just remembered to mention. I mean, I assume you know Iron Imp, and I assume most of the people watching either live here on Twitch or on YouTube later, that the boss fights are... There's a mechanical change from previous FromSoft games, that the boss fights no longer have a stamina bar, which is very, very new. I believe so, at least. So, in the current boss fight form, now the bosses can hit in like succession forever, and they never need to regain stamina, which I think is a, you know, change for the lazy and change for the worse and change for the cheap, bad boss fighting. Like, it removes a tactical element from the boss fights, which I think is a really, really stupid move, just for the sake of being difficult for the sake of being difficult, and I don't think it's good. It doesn't make the game impossible. I mean, I'm on New Game Plus, I think that means it's not impossible, and I believe I beat every single boss. Well, yeah, sure. But I mean, like, in a Soulsborne game where you do have a stamina bar yourself, I mean, sorry. Like, yeah, Sekiro, a different story, sure. That's fine. But yeah, they don't have a stamina bar in this one, but you do. Which is not exactly good design, I think. Oh, actually, there's probably rest on the bonfire, too. Right on. I don't think I had Beastman's curved sword before. Oh. Oh, goody. I love my ranged attacks. That's just... Gotta love that. Alright. Yeah, let's just go, whatever. Can I not just be left alone? Man, the lock-on system is bad in this one. Oh boy. Lock on to enemy, for Jesus' sake. Yeah. So you end up counting, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now maybe I can brave a hit in. Yeah, but what's more frustrating in that, it's unlike Bloodborne or Sekiro, the 6-hit combo takes longer in this. That's also true. Maybe Illity is here, you can stagger them, but they just move from 6-hit combo to immediate repose or other shield pass kick kind of things and just keep going. Yeah, like, they don't ever stop their movement patterns for that moment to regain a little bit. I mean, some bosses do have, like, a big opening, that's not what I'm saying, but the bosses have the ability to have no stamina regen at all. Like, they don't need that. Whereas I feel they should need that, because that's what a sensible, fun, methodical boss fight is. What's up with the constant aggroing? Jesus, just stop. So, question. I mean, the place is already on fire, right? I can just go. Like, do I need to finish this area? I don't remember at all how this works. Like, do I need, like, an item or whatever from here? I don't remember, like, at all how this... what was the deal with this. Oh, hi. Kill Malekith for the Death Throne. I have no memory of him being here. Like, my grinding was so time-consuming that I forgot everything about the game. I hate these boys so much. Like, I find that death, like, I know that that's the same status effect as the Basilisks did in the first Dark Souls game and on there, and probably in Demon's Souls too. I hate that those big, big hulking tanks do that. And with that much efficiency. I think that's just dumb. Like, yeah, it does make them harder fights, but it's more like, okay, now they did their thing, now you have to wait. Like, they waste your time. It's stupid. Like, if an enemy has that ability, they need to be pretty weak, like, HP-wise or something. Those things that don't stagger and take, like, 6 hits from a 99/99 build with the best greatsword in the game. Like, maybe just, you know... Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not as such the same thing as Cursed. It's simply the death status effect. True, yes. But in the sense that you die in it and it's a mist form, that's what yeah, like, it doesn't... True, it doesn't inflict the Cursed status in that it doesn't have your HP numbers in the future bits. Let's see what they feel about me just ranging there. Damn, that has some range. Also, lock on, please. Again, like, now we have to wait. Like, this is so stupid. And if I go and brave it just with melee, I risk equally just large amounts of hitting to my face. Ugh. Don't like it. Whew. Glad it doesn't. I imagine they thought about inflicting curse and then having you farm crafting materials for stuff, but I'm glad they didn't. Yeah, hard to say, yeah. Hard to say how they ended up with that. Although I do have this feeling that I so have a hard time imagining that any choice was made to make the player feel like, you know, less screwed over. Where on earth did you come from? I don't remember where anything is, so... I'm not sure I even did this place before. Might have missed the ladder. Right. I'm vaguely curious. Whatever. Whatever. I'm also glad my helmet doesn't hit the ladder, like bum 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 bum. Okay, so haha! Alright, back off, back off, back off. Damn, that is just... Man, that is an angry, angry boy, huh? Can I just... There you go. Jeez. That would be a kind of funny nod to detail if the pumpkin helmet just kind of clack, 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 clack. Yeah, I feel like I've seen like a meme video of someone in a Dark Souls game wearing like a coned hat, and it hits like a metal ladder in like an Anor Londoian area, maybe in 1 or 3. I don't remember. Maybe 3. It might be a mod. I don't know, but I've seen a video of that. Because I don't recognize the hat as such, but yeah, it's quite funny. It's fascinating how completely I've forgotten this area, though. I am so drawing a blank on this place. I just remember the BS two-headed dragon boss fight. 3 had a bit of recycled Anor Londo main hall. Yeah. And 3 had a bunch of really long ladders in there, or at least a couple, I think. I don't think I have to kill those, at least. Yeah, after Pontiff. Yeah. And I mean, it's called Anor Londo as well, so it's literally the same place. Right? I think so. Oh boy. There you go. Man, those are a day. Also, I have no clue if I'm even in the right direction. That's maybe worth knowing. Also, I gotta say, gravels, like any time a crafting material is the big treasure bit in a corner, that's just so underwhelming. I'm not looking for treasure in this playthrough, but that's bad. 3 was an odd one. I really liked so much, but lore-wise it didn't feel like a holistic world so much as a remix. Yeah, same thing. I liked playing it mostly. I thought it was a little bit more, it had slightly more cheap challenges than the first 2, but the combat was slightly tighter. And I think the bosses were inventive, but not yet, like, cheap, I think, mostly. But because the world didn't speak to me at all, I thought it was... That's the reason it's my 3rd favorite. I liked it, but not as much as the other 2. Mine is like, 2 is the best, 1st is the 2nd best, and 3 is the 3rd best. And then it's... Oh boy. Do I need to check like a walkthrough again? Because I think I might be in a completely wrong direction here. Because I don't think this leads to any breakthroughs in the... Oh, right, yeah, the game also resets your bell bearings. That's deeply stupid in New Game Plus. I think that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have to re-collect your bell bearings as well. Like, you worked your way to being able to buy the stones and flowers you do, and let's just call it a day, you know? Like, that's really stupid. Like, who the hell's gonna remember and who wants to bother in going to get them again in New Game Plus? Like, rather just like, if you didn't upgrade your stuff before you did New Game Plus, it's just like a game just fucks you, like, haha. Like, it's so bad and dumb and stupid. That's a From Software issue, though. I think other examples of a similar thing do happen in the previous ones, but in this one it's so much worse. Yeah, Dark Souls official fanfic is not a terrible way to look at it. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, I actually don't know if this is even what I'm supposed to be doing. This doesn't seem like the right way. Again, if anyone knows the way to go, I am all ears. I really, really don't care about exploring. I just want to get through as fast as I can. Especially because this area isn't... Like, it looks fun, but it's actually not that interesting. It's just lame platforming and kind of annoying enemies. To his credit, I thought Slave Knight Gale and the Soul of Cinder were cool. It was needed some sort of cramped path directions. Champion Gunther was one of my favorite GS3 bosses, hard in a way I respect. Yeah, I kind of didn't like when it went to the black ooze goes everywhere and hits stuff. I don't really... That was, I think, not interesting swordsmanship. Like, black ooze oozes everywhere and causes damage is not what I am looking for in a boss fight. It's not an interesting kind of difficult. It's just like, haha, you can't read this, lol. Like, oh, okay. I have good memories of the big giant boy, though. Because I didn't know that I was supposed to do it with the Storm Sword or with the Siegfried friend. I just did it, as I've mentioned before, I did it alone. And with, like, just Claymore +6. A repair powder in between and just, like, went. It took, I think, 20 minutes and I pulled it off. Okay, so if that wasn't the way to go, then... Probably there. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, while it is my least favorite Dark Souls game, that's still... I like it enough. I think it's fine. Yorm, yeah. Yeah, this is more like it. Yeah, this is where I need to go. Let's go. At least that's what I think. Man, it's sometimes really hard to assess like how far do you actually need to, like how far do you fall and how far do you there you go. The one thing I do not miss in Dark Souls 1 is the necromancers, though. The ones that, like, endlessly resurrect the skeletons. Like, while I'm not a big fan of having to kill every skeleton twice, I'd still rather take this than the necromancers, though. Although, to be fair, in Dark Souls 1, it wasn't every skeleton. It was like a very specific, small bit of skeletons, you know, still. Yeah, that was ass, is what that was. I mean, there was the thing with the holy weapons, but I just never bothered. I was like, okay, it's no necromancers, let's go. Eventually in New Game Plus, I think I made like a holy claymore on top of the stuff I had, but, you know, still. Alright, let's see if I can hit that boy. There you are. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Neighborhood of Skellies. Oh yeah. Also, if I remember right, these enemies, like this big skeleton, is incapable of staggering. Like, there's no way to stagger it ever. It always hits through whatever you do. Like, it never ever stops its attack. Like even if you do 500,000 damage to it, in the, like, when it's swinging, its swing will not get interrupted. It still goes through and hits. It's so... I never liked this one enemy type. It feels not attached to the physics of this world. It's kind of... It feels wrong. Typically just took advantage of the Astoria Strait from the Valley of the Drakes. Oh yeah, in my case there was that one... At some point in Dark Souls 1, the game drops you with like a Holy Spear +6 or something like that. Or a Holy Spear of something. And I used that like once. It works fine, but... for that like one purpose, you know? In any case. Right. Probably run past some catacombs guys and nuke the necklace before you can make progress. Yeah, that's what I usually do. Like, it's not that hard if you know what to look for, but... Still, it is one of my least favorite bits of Dark Souls 1. Not the least, because my, like least is probably... Tomb of the Giants and the Crystal Caves are, like, really bad. Also, I blocked all three of those. So, game glitched out on me there. Either that or the hurricane attacks are unblockable. And I don't think they are. They're heavy, but not unblockable, I think. Yeah, no, they're not yet. I don't know why it did that. Enjoy the Atmo more in Tomb of the Giant, but it's a fuss. Yeah, the atmosphere is... I kind of understand the atmosphere, if only in the sense that it's so cruel, that there's an atmosphere to its cruelty, but in a mechanically sensible way, it's just stupid. Like, I know the ways to make light in there. You can use the bright bug on your forehead from Lost Izalith, or you can get the lantern, which then replaces your shield, but it still lets you see a little better. But I find that the amount of hard-hitting damage you need to do to get through the giant dog skeleton men and those things in the absolute pitch black darkness is so unreasonable. It's a it's a brutally difficult idea for a level that in practice it's a hassle to go through for all the wrong reasons. Like, I don't think I usually die to that area anymore. I usually grind up enough that I manage to go through there just with the hassle, but not dying, like, more than maybe once or twice for, like, a, you know, let's say, as like a business as usual work accident. But still, man, that area is so just dishearteningly annoying. And actually, in an interesting atmosphere way, it's interesting you mention atmosphere, because while oftentimes when I mention how I enjoy Dark Souls 2 as the best game, because its story and like side story themes and all of that hit my heart very much, because it's such a constant allegory to Alzheimer's to my artsy mind, right? But also in Dark Souls 2, I find, and apparently I'm somehow alone in this again, that the gutter, the dark area with the filthy bamboo structures and the zombies and baddies in there, I think that is such a better version of the concept of the Tomb of Giants in a way. It still has the endless pits, it still has a very deep and unfathomably oppressive darkness, but you have the torch, and you get to use the torch to light the small, like, torch sconces in the area, getting the feel that you sort of have agency to the atmosphere of the level the more and more you go through it, and I so much like that, so much more. Yeah, it's in a, like, I can see how it's like easier to think of as like a combination of Blighttown and Tomb of Giants rolled into one. But I felt that area was a much better use of more or less pitch black darkness. That's what I'm like trying to say. Because there's not a separate, different example of pitch black darkness, I think, in DS2. Or what Tomb of Giants did in DS1. Like, which is a good thing, because that's the one correct way to do it, I think. And I really enjoyed it. It's not a pretty place, it probably smells bad, but you feel like you're making progress through a dark area, and you, like, add to the atmosphere while using the torch into the things. I really enjoyed that bit. I felt like it was a really inspired idea. Yeah, it's a relief, and it feels like it's an. It seems that like it's. I propose to you that the gutter in Dark Souls 2. Yeah. The braziers. Yeah. I propose to you that the gutter in Dark Souls 2 is the inverse of Crumbling Farum Azula, because Crumbling Farum Azula is a visually deeply striking and curious and cool-looking place that's kind of underwhelming to go through. Whereas the gutter is a dark, filthy, annoying-looking, terrible-looking place that actually ends up being a lot more interesting to go through, because it utilizes the torch mechanic to make you feel like you're actually clawing your way through the atmosphere of the dark and kind of scary and filthy looking but oddly twisted area. It's not a perfect analogy, but I feel like I'm onto something. I mean, I'm the madman. I grant you, but I kind of like the area. I don't like the endless drops. I grant you, but I kind of still like the area. I don't know. And to be clear though, to be clear, I mean the gutter and not the area after it, right before the trash monster, whose name I forget, like the big pile of corpses in a blah. Because the tiny bit in between those two is the short green cave bit with a million poison statues. That's dumb. That's just lazy and just like, yay, poison shoot, boobily boo. That's not good. Just the bamboo structure bit, like, I think that's actually, I like it probably more than anyone else probably does. Yeah, and the big worms with the, yeah, that almost look like, yeah, and with the fingers at the sides of the worms, and it's so annoying. And it's not even like yeah, the area is hard. It is. But it's honestly more just annoying. It just takes time to go through a short area, and it's just not interesting, like, at all. It's such a hassle and meh. And NPC look at, oh yeah, she's there too. That's true. Yeah. Ah. Hello. Oop. Nope. Thank goodness for the stagger mechanic right there. Right. Isn't this the boss fight room? It is! Let's go! Show me the fight. Yes. Ow. 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 Team player here. Come on. Hi. Hi. I didn't remember that they like die and come back. A styling hat. Yeah, it's a bit out of place, but she's from far away. It's fine. I mean, with this, I respect the visual design. It's a bit of a fuss. Yeah, basically, yeah. Godskin Duo kind of suck for being a nuisance, for also being a budget bargain, Orstein and Smo. Yeah, and again, the game is full of that boss fight. Like, those Godskin people are everywhere in the game. Like, there's, I think, at least 3 or 4 boss fights with one of those two. Like, all around the game, which again diminishes the value of this so hard. Again, it could be so much more interesting, but it's not. Okie dokie. Here? Maybe. Yeah. I think there's a ladder in here somewhere, but let's just go. Sorry. Right. The best Apostle Godskin fight was up top the weird, creepy Midsummer Festival thing in North Atlas Plateau with the windmills. Volcano Maramos was pretty well framed. Yeah, okay. The first one I actually met in the game was here in Divine Tower of Caelid. I thought this was interesting because, well, you always remember your first one, probably. It was very difficult, I remember that. Like, I suffered through that a lot because I wasn't yet, like, god level at that stage. That was actually really hard. And, I think I died to it, like, 3 times. Yeah, that's maybe the last one I died to, actually. Now that I think about it. Anyway, because getting to this tower almost seemed like like I was not supposed to get there. It was such a weird, like a Super Mario go up a really, really, really thin set of platforms and bits of wall and whatever around a huge, huge giant tower, constantly with the risk of falling to my death because that's just what it is. And at the very top I get in, and then the same huge, 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 weird, difficult, and hard dropping descent with huge jumps to the bottom in between, down, and then there it was, a thin Godskin one. I don't think I got anything interesting from the dungeon, but it was an interesting place to find one, though, for sure. But still, I think it's just interesting because that's my first one. Yeah. It was my first one, absolutely. The beef one, yeah, it's an interesting trip, but the fight was like, oh, you again. Yeah, it was my first one, though, yeah, I know. And similarly, I had the same, oh, you again, with the rest of these, so... Although, the Midsummer area, though, that is actually kind of cool. I liked it. It was very, homey. Although, I'm not as such Swedish, so it's almost homey. Oh, speaking of Midsummer, by the way, me and my girlfriends watched that movie last year in the summer, I think. It was a little too slow for us to be really good, but I thought it was still a quality movie with really good, like, cinematography and an interesting story, just a little too slow. And I think Florence Pugh had a really difficult character to work with because she was very... It's very difficult for a long and slow movie to get the viewer to care about a person who has a very personal tragedy and is defined by that tragedy. And it's really hard to get inside the head of that person for the viewer when they are trying to watch, like, a horror movie about the weirdness of the other, you know? But in any case, I found it interesting how it kind of dawned on me at one point that I think my heart just did a really weird thing. Ugh. Like it hit into the back of my spine or something. Ugh. Anyway, where in Midsummer, it might be that I was even less than the normal viewer. I was even less impacted by its, like, strangeness of the other, because the Swedish culture of the festivals that they're doing, even as they are slightly more paganistic than the ones I, like, you know, have seen and such, I'm still more familiar to those by a large mile than the American or other European viewers might be. And also, I speak enough Swedish that the off-puttingness of being so out of water in where the characters were was also less affecting to me. So I think I was kind of not the best audience for that movie, because I didn't feel as removed from what's happening around me in terms of, like, the language and so on. Yeah, that's fair too, how it's, like, referencing in other stuff, yeah. I liked it a bit more after a while. Like, I feel like it's a respectable and really well-made movie in terms of, like, technical management. It's just, it's so slow that it's really hard to manage to keep your interest in it all the time. I think he's Swedish, really like Ingmar. Yeah. I think so too. Yeah. But like, if I may, I'm 90% sure. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe like, I read an article that at least claimed that Midsummer in the theaters was not subtitled when they spoke Swedish. So it would, like, reinforce the feeling of being outside of the loop of what the people are doing and saying around them. Like, that would, like, add to the sense of feeling uneasy with the, like, English-speaking characters, you know, because they didn't understand, and therefore the viewer wouldn't understand either, you know. But I speak some, and I caught a bunch of it. I don't think it was even subtitled actually in Netflix for me either, now that I think about it. I don't think so, because I had to... highly possible, can't confirm, but you're probably right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I'm pretty sure I saw, like, for some reason, I'm pretty sure that that's how it was. Nice and easy. Whew. This place takes a lot of time, though. Like, I've spent most of my playthrough, I think, here. Oh, boy. Oh, wow. This one, I think this one's a bad day. Alright. I didn't like these nights too much. Because when they start flying, I'm like, yeah, that's... I'm done, you know? Again, like, that moveset was, I think, 17 hits with no breaks. Like, honestly. Like, that's kind of what I mean. There was no breaks anywhere in there for 17 hits, I'm pretty sure. Like, come on now. Yeah, this bit I don't like. Like, when it takes flight, I feel like we kind of jumped the shark here. And, you know, breathes fire. There you go. Ever seen a Gaspar nose? I don't think so, no. Creepy, upsetting films. Right, okay. And Seven Seals is a masterpiece, but the other stuff like Hour of the Wolf is great. I haven't seen either of those two, and I also haven't seen Hereditary. And I want to see Hereditary one day, so don't spoil. Because I hear that's actually good. Trouble with the Crucible Knight is a shield, bro, is just what you're seeing. Just machine gun interrupt with severing hit. Yeah. AoE roll catch and the heal broke advance and jab the wings. Yeah, the one I can like take is the tail with the range. That's still, it's a little much, but I can take the tail with the range. That's still okay, fine. But the flying and the breath of fire, I'm like, I don't know. Like that, it just doesn't feel that fun to fight those, and yeah, it's such a constant just barrage of those same moves with no breaks. Like stamina bar, come on. And I mean, I think it hit me once, so I don't think it's about like it's too hard. It's not a fun fight to do those, you know. Not that interesting. Hello. Hello. Nice to see you. Again, because when all of the screen is magic attack, that's interesting enemy design, right? Also, the bird is like, nah, I don't care. Like, I don't even like. What do you like? Why are we? Why? Why do we this? I don't understand. Arrow! Eat it! Eat it! There you go. Eat arrow! Eat arrow! Eat arrow! Aha! See, I'm clever. Listen, you. Alright. Hi. Flame easy move to dodge though once I got the hand, but yeah, just gonna, as you say. Early on, even with lesser tower shields, Crucible Knights could wreck me, though. That's, yeah, it can happen, yeah. Like, when it was, like, a Everjail boss fight, it could really make your day long. More stamina effective to dodge, but every attack just kind of swings into another. Yeah, it is more effective, yes. How I play currently is different than what I started with, because I wear this shield. The shield has a guard boost of 89, meaning it doesn't take a lot of stamina to block it, to block stuff. So if I grind it enough to actually wear the thing, which takes... yeah, 60 endurance with all of the endurance equipment to roll this stuff with medium roll. Though, if I wear the shield, I'm gonna use it too, and just not bother with trying to always just, time rolls perfectly, you know? Yeah, arm wrestling about how to play, yeah, that is kinda how it goes. That is how it be. Alright. No, you don't. Aha! See, never trust the blind corner. Alright. Yeah. Oh, goody. I remember this bit. This bit was scary. This bit was extra scary. Ah. Ugh. Don't know if they patched this out, but in combination with one of the talismans, you can block with that shield and lose 0 stamina. They probably did. It's a pity, to my mind, they give you ability to want to play like old school Dark Souls, but everything's a bit more frantic. Yeah. I know. Alrighty. Like, maybe my biggest issue is that I find that in this game, there's no good, like, tank damage armor. This is the best one. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that, like, a physical damage reduction of 34.0 is like an actual tank damage build. That basically means that a tough boss, a tough enemy still kills you in like 4 hits. If, like, it doesn't feel right. Like, I feel like in previous Dark Souls games, I could, if I wanted to, build a more tanky, armored heavy guy, and now I no longer can. I can improve this with a talisman, but it's even that, I think, is not even close to 40, if I remember right. Like, it doesn't feel good. Alright. Run. Like, the enemies do such gargantuan amount of damage at times, it's just like, what are we doing here? My problem, I rolled a strength tank guy, but my poise was crap and damage was barely negated and blocking was the least optimal thing. Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. Which, I don't think it helps in my liking or disliking this game, because it's then, therefore it's kind of built against my build. So, like, what are we doing here? Alright, I think I'm gonna do the boss fight of this place, and I think I might call it basically right around then. Maybe. We'll see, because it's getting kind of late with that, you know? Alright. Yay! One of the unfun a-hole enemies. Woo! I really don't like these. I think they're cheap. Yeah, now we go to the red lightning AoE garbage. I really hate that. I hate it so much. Okay, that's lucky. That went a lot more lucky than it usually goes. Whew. Okie dokie. Let's see. If I remember right, this boss fight is actually kinda hard. Let me check right quick that there wasn't anything I needed to actually check over there. I think that's just basically some extra faff and whatever, right? I think I already got the... since the grace is already pretty close to there. I don't remember if I need to kill that knight every time, though. But I think this is just like using up my healing if I go here. Don't remember what status effects the boss does, if any. Maybe it's safest to put, I don't know, rot build-up things there, at least. I imagine these games are very hard to balance in fairness, but yeah, spell sword builds are far more effective. What you'd spend on stamina and gear is offset by powerful spells and tank enemies rather than you, in a way. I appreciate that, since I would want to roll with Gandalf. I mean, you're not wrong that spell sword builds are probably the best way to go. I was really off-put because I was so... I made such a hard melee build that I even found that like 85% of the loot you find in all of the mini and larger dungeons was 100% aimed at spell builds. They were always spellcasting equipment, spellcasting staffs, whatever, spells themselves, and I could never use any of it. Like, that was really frustrating. Like, almost all of the loot is just spellcaster loot. Like, that is really, really annoying. I was very, very frustrated myself with that as well, yeah. Alright, let's hope for the best. I think this was pretty tough the time I went with this.
Thou who approacheth destined death.
Yeah.
I will not have it stolen from me again.
F indeed, yes.
Become my blade once more.
See, that's not how you play the 5-finger fillet. I think that's a critical fail right there. How come they always grow like long head of hair when they go into beast mode? Something like that, yeah. Alright. Yeah, this one is hard because of that, like, life-losing mechanic. Now I remember, yeah, it's really, really tough. Like, it really goes places. Basically, every hit requires an Estus, and then it just like blocks your maximum HP, and everything is really, really cheap. And nothing you actually block actually counts. It's great.
Witness tarnished. Why cover destined death? To kill what?
You and the game. Cool. Yeah, he got really close on my first go as well. I was quite taken aback by that tactic he uses. But yeah, thanks.
The rune of death is unbound.
Mm-hmm.
And the lands between are shrouded by death's dark fate. But the flames will also burn the impenetrable thorns.
Right.
Farewell it is then.
See, it's a cozy fire. It's fine.
You'll be Elden Lord yet.
I wasn't the last time. I did the Rena ending, which is a different than Elden Lord ending. Yeah, I'm actually calling the stream basically here. I said I'd take that boss fight, and now I kind of gotta stop as well. But hey, Iron Imp, thank you for hanging out, and I should need to sleep as well, although I'm not sleepy yet, which is really bad. I should have sleepy, but I don't, because my sleeping is bonkers bad. Like, no, not joking. Every single week for the past 4 weeks, I've had one instance of no sleep the entire night, and then being awake for the entire next day up until the next night again. And then try to manage that, and it happens every single week, again and again and again, and flips the whole thing over again. I've had that 4 weeks. And the past 2 nights, I've slept 3 hours each. I think I'm playing pretty good considering that, so yeah. I've had a bad time. So yeah, I'm aware that if I do a perfect run from here, I think I could finish the game in like 20 minutes. But I don't know, man. Especially because I'm quite confident that the ending trick still won't work. So instead of getting the 2 different endings... actually, even if it would work, I'd still need to do the 3rd fire ending with a bunch of other faff in between before I get to the ending itself, after the, the boss fights and whatever. So actually that would take an extra at least half an hour. So I think even with a really good run, from here, even if the ending trick worked, I think it's still like an hour at least. And I think I gotta call it a day. So I think that's the smart move here. I think that's the smart move. So let's rest here, put a point in vigor, call it a day, and let's see if we can throw a raid in some direction. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and if you are watching this on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed our journey towards level 282 and toward Ashen stuff, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. Fingers crossed that the ending trick works, but I'm constantly pushing my mind to be ready for having to do this whole thing New Game Plus once more, and possibly even in New Game Plus having to find the different parts of the medallion to get to the secret bit of the of the last lift we did, to get to the other snow area, to get to the different level grind area, to go do that there. That's possible. I hope I don't have to do grinding anymore. It's probably possible without, but I'm not the best player. We know that, but let's see. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. It genuinely actually helps, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.